name is Dr. Mudusar Raza. I'm President/Executive Director of Council on American-Islamic Relations, Maryland chapter. We are a civil rights organization, the largest Muslim civil rights organization in the United States. Our center is in D.C., and we have 30 of the state chapters, Maryland being one of them. Madam Chairman, the Council on American-Islamic Relations respectfully submits this testimony and demonstration of our strong support for HB558, the Maryland Liberty Preservation Act of 2013. I respectfully ask that the entire statement be entered into the record of this hearing. CAIR-Maryland commends Delegate Galvin and the 10 co-sponsors of the Maryland Liberty Preservation Act and urges the House Health and Government Operations Committee to approve the act without delay. This act would essentially prohibit any agency of the state or member of the Maryland National Guard or the Maryland Defense Force acting on official state duty to knowingly aid an agency of the United States in the detention of a person in accordance with sections 1021 and 1022 of the NDAA. Signed into law on December 31st, 2011, the NDAA authorizes the U.S. military to carry out domestic anti-terrorism operations and indefinitely detain Americans and others suspected of terrorism without charge or trial. While proponents of Section 1021 and 1022 maintain they are indispensable to national security, CAIR-Maryland and other civil rights community believe that this is not the case. Simply put, it is unconstitutional for our military to act as a police force, empowered to hold Americans indefinitely, based on suspicion alone, without the right to trial or even to hear the charges brought against them. Since the NDAA was signed into law, Congress has been unable or unwilling to repeal these sections. It is now up to the Maryland Assembly to adopt the Maryland Liberty Preservation Act, thereby preserving the due process rights of all persons within the U.S., or at least those within its state borders. No agency of the state or member of the Maryland National Guard or the Maryland Defense Force acting on the official state duty should be required to contradict the U.S. Constitution. In review of sections 1021 and 1022 of the NDAA, Section 1021 vaguely endorses the claimed presidential authority to indefinitely detain Americans as enemy combatants under existing law, that is the Authorization to Use Military Force Act. Section 1021 explicitly allows for the indefinite detention of Americans captured abroad as well as foreigners. Section 1022 authorizes the indefinite military detention of Americans. While this section does not require the military to detain U.S. citizens, the authority or option to do so remains. The power to indefinitely detain individuals under the NDAA remains until the end of hostilities, a very vague concept and very subjective. Furthermore, CAIR-Maryland believes that the NDAA is unconstitutional as it disregards the Fifth Amendment guarantee of due process for all persons and the Sixth Amendment right to be a fair and speedy trial. There are a number of good, sound constitutional reasons to support the Maryland Liberty Preservation Act. The U.S. Constitution already provides all the necessary tools to safeguard the nation for enemies, both foreign and domestic. Those who would attempt to do our nation harm should be arrested without hesitation, charged, tried, and convicted to the full extent of the law. Those who are falsely accused of supporting such hostilities rely on the Constitution to protect them. States are supposed to be a check against the federal government's power, not expanded. Many leaders in the Maryland Assembly and Civil Rights Committee believe that granting such detention power is an overreach of the President's authority. The NDAA leaves too much to presidential interpretation, killing of American citizens around the world. It is unconstitutional for the military to arrest and indefinitely detain all persons inside the U.S. Deny any person the right to due process is the same in the name of national security makes our nation less free but not more secure. I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said those that would sacrifice liberty for security deserve neither. And we have to learn from mistakes of the past, because if we do not learn from history, we are going to repeat it. My colleagues have talked about the Japanese internment camp and how it would be unthinkable of happening again. People, excuse me, sorry, it's been a long day. But so this is where our stand is, and I urge you guys, all the delegates here, please give this a fair shot. Take it to the General Assembly. We desperately need this, because if we fail today, we may not see this in our generation, we may not see it in our lifetimes, but our grandchildren and our children and grandchildren may see the effects, as this is a very slippery slope. Today in the name of terrorism, tomorrow in the name of the war on drugs, then what? Internet security. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a very slippery slope. And just a personal story I have. I'm a critical care physician. I moved to Maryland about 6 years ago. 4 years ago, I was given a contract to become a partner in a group. In the contract, it stated if I was ever investigated under the Patriot Act, that would be cause for my immediate dismissal. And when I asked another partner to ask if it was in his contract, he didn't answer me. He said, I don't know, everybody's contract is different. And when I called the partner, senior partner, I said, he took it out immediately, but the point is, why was it there? Because I was a prominent Muslim, I was president of the Islamic Society of Frederick, automatically they assumed. This is not what America has been built on. My son, who is the general secretary of the Conservative Club, a staunch Republican, he's a junior at Urbana High.
We were doing good.
But in asking him, I said, you know, he is very much into politics and constitutional law, as I once was, but my parents pushed me into medicine, you know, likely story. I asked him, I said, the Republicans, and this is not everybody, are generally not accepting of Muslims. And he said, yes, but they weren't of Catholics either. Once they realize our values are very similar to theirs, we're fiscally and socially conservative, they will accept us. Now look at the Catholics. Their vice president candidate this year was Catholic. So I'm working for that 16-year-old. I'm working for the future, our children, our grandchildren. So today, on this eve of Martin Luther King's, I'm sorry, he's one of my favorites too, but Malcolm X's, today he died in 1965, a great civil rights activist who fell. I see it no better today spent all day here and working on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Are there questions? That ends the hearing